Hi, this is To Be Dauntless. Today we're going to go over all the currently playable characters in Neverness to Everness. If you haven't heard about this game yet, feel free to check out my NTE intro video linked below. This is going to be a high-level overview, but if there are specific characters or topics you would like to hear more about, let me know. At launch, NTE will have 15 playable characters. This includes 4 male characters and 11 female. Each character has an Esper attribute. You can think of this as their element. Elements can react with 2 other elements to create a reaction. Here is a quick image of the elemental circle. Each one has a reaction with the other 2 elements to either side of them. However, I won't go too far into the elemental system in this video. Our first character is the poster girl of the game at launch, Mint. Mint is an energetic, spontaneous cat girl who works at the containment unit and loves ice cream. She is an A rank anima element. Her skill is a quick double dash forward, and her ultimate, Mint's ultimate super duper ultra 360 whirlwind slash, has Mint perform a heavy AoE attack in front of her. Pretty simple. Each character also has a set of passive skills. Mint's passive skills buff the damage area of Lebensblooms and also grant her defense and interruption resistance. Lebensblooms are an effect from combining the elements Anima and Cosmos together, such as Mint and MC. For those who are familiar with gacha games like Genshin Impact, all characters in NTE have an awakening system for when you obtain multiple copies of a character. Something really cool about Neverness to Everness is that when you get a copy, you can choose which awakening bonus you would like to unlock, and you can change it to another bonus at any time. Next, we are going to the first rate-up banner character in NTE, Nanally. Nanally is a hyper-aggressive gremlin at the Avon Antique Shop. She is an S-rank anima character. Her skill does anima damage to enemies around her, and more importantly allows her to gain the Ichidame's authority. This is a special buff that gives her 30% crit damage and allows her to alter gravity and walk on any surface for 12 seconds. Her ultimate is even more powerful, dealing high anima damage and summoning Underboss, her pet, to fight by her. Underboss will perform coordinated attacks and can even slightly pull in enemies for an easier pummeling. Nanaly's passive skills increase the number of Lebensblooms that can activate and their fire rate. Additionally, she will perform a follow-up attack when her allies deal elemental damage while she is in her Ichidame's authority buff state.
I'm Daffodill.
Powerhouse for sure.
Hotori's bodyguard.
Onwards to Daffodill.
Simple.
In line with her appearance, she is quiet and serious and represents Avon as well. Daff is an S-rank chaos character, and she actually surprised me the most with how fun she is. Her skill has 2 parts, Resonance and Echoes. You start by casting Resonance, which deals damage and then grants her stacks. Then having allies cast their support skills will grant her more stacks. Reach the cap and her skills replace with Echoes, which deals additional chaos damage. Her ultimate deals chaos damage and inflicts the Insight debuff on enemies hit, making them take additional break damage. She also gains access to the skill Phantom Step, which casts upon her swapping to another character and deals high damage and break. It also charges her ultimate back to full if Phantom Step procs a parry attack. As you can imagine, this allows Daffodill to reset her ultimate with continuous smart usage of Phantom Step against certain enemies. Her support skills grant her 50% defense for 5 seconds after proccing Phantom Step, and also allows her to reduce enemies' maximum break bars by up to 30%.
I'm Chiz.
Cha-ching, it's time for Chiz. This cute pink girl is an S-rank manager at the Pink Paws Bank. Her element is Cosmos, and she has the most unique gameplay out of all the NTE characters. Attacking with her basic attacks grants you Fawns, which is one of NTE's main forms of currency, so playing her can literally earn you in-game money. This does cap out at 500k Fawns, unfortunately. Her basic attacks also grant you this other currency called Grain. Her skill has 3 charges and can be used in succession to cast higher levels of the skill. This skill also consumes her grain, however, managing her grain is key. Chiz's ultimate does AoE Cosmos damage, and she enters the Grain Market status, granting her a surplus of grain to dish out with her skill. Her passive skill prevents her allies from gaining energy while she is on the field, but it also grants them 4 additional energy when they are gaining energy on the field. Mastering Chiz is basically like mastering the stock market. Here we have another cute girl, Haniel. Haniel is an A-rank psychic zoomer that can buff your team to the stars with her music. Haniel's skill throws her portable speaker, Hotori. This boosts her team's attack and triggers Ensemble, which does damage in an area when the active character attacks. Her ultimate drops an enhancement field that has a similar effect, but also adds additional triggers of Ensemble. The ult also extends the duration of Hotori. Haniel's passive continues to support her team by draining enemy attack when Nova states end. She will be a great, easily accessible teammate to round out all teams. It's time for the Style Queen Jiuyuan. This S-rank fashion model is also an anime element, and she is an elite courier at the Starry Express. Her skill will dash across the field, pulling in enemies and dealing anima damage. This also grants Jiuyuan 4 rose-packed bullets, which she can discharge into enemies by using her hold basic attack to deal extra damage. Her ultimate deals large AoE anima damage and also triggers a similar effect. Lastly, her passive skills will increase the amount of Lebensstam, the elemental reaction, she can trigger and debuff certain enemies hit by the created Lebensblooms, causing them to take 15% more anima damage. Bang bang! Our first male character, Baicang. He looks very formal and works in the ETD unit at the bureau, but with Child's English VA, I can't help but imagine a more playful trickster. He is an S rank in our first incantation element and does not disappoint. His attacks can consume his HP to deal extra damage, and his skill will deal incantation damage and generate a power word on or near the enemy. These power words can vary and have amplified effects when used after his ultimate. Baicang's ult drops a domain on the area which deals continuous incantation damage, executes enemies below 10% HP, and grants Baicang immunity to 1 fatal attack. His domain lasts for 12 seconds, but will end early if the fatal hit is procced. Finally, his passive skills deal extra damage when his power words hit. Baicang also gains additional benefits if he has his fellow ETD members on his team, Lacrimosa, Fadia, and Skia. Teamwork makes the dream work. Speaking of his teammates, next is Fadia. This S-rank woman is also a part of ETD, and she really shows that ETD is full of weirdos. Her element is Psyche, and she serves as a tanky unit on the battlefield. She has a passive that redirects a portion of the damage that her teammates take to herself. If she has 1 HP, this will be reversed, and her teammates will instead share damage with her. Fadia's skill deals Psyche damage and inflicts a debuff on the enemy with the highest max HP in the area. That enemy will take 300% of the damage that Fadia takes, up to a cap of 8% of max HP. Next, her ultimate deals damage and restores her HP, entering the Lilith state. In this state, her attacks change, and when she loses a set amount of HP, her ult is restored to full and can be recast for a greater damage and healing. Fadia's passive skills drain 10% of her max base HP from targets over time. She also increases her entire team's max HP by 10%. Let's keep the ETD train going with Lacrimosa. She is an S-rank, tomato-loving sleepyhead that embraces the chaos element. The ETD unit continues to impress with unique skill sets. Her hold basic attack can be used to copy an enemy's attack and allow her to use it as her ultimate. Her ultimate deals AoE chaos damage and inflicts the Nightmare dot debuff on enemies. Lacrimosa's passive grants her additional damage when she procs Discord, and she can gain a recharge of her skill when she performs a basic attack combo. You can get some really fun combos by using enemy skills against them. Finally, the last member of ETD is Skia. He is an A-rank wolfman who can control shadows and is the most normal one on his team. He fights with the Lakshana element and empowers his attacks with dark shadows. Skia's skill slams forward with Lakshana damage and then he enters the tailed state. In this state, he can trigger additional damage from Fang Thrusts, which are an attachment he can add to enemies by basic attacking them and using his skills. His ultimate does Lakshana damage in an AoE and boosts his Fang Thrust attachment damage and grants Skia a crowd control effect when he attacks. His passive skill grants an extra remora when he fights and boosts his Fang Thrust damage after using his ult. He's basically like a souped up furry version of Shikamaru. Alright, switching it up, we have the one-winged angel Hathor. She takes his iconic look and adds her own flair by representing the Starry Express with her S-rank riding skills. She is also a Lakshana user and loves getting airtime with her attacks. Her skill slashes the enemy and grants her stacks for her upgraded skill. If you hold her skill, she will perform a charged version that can deal additional damage and gain even more stacks. Her upgraded skill summons a motorcycle that deals high damage. Hathor's ultimate also summons a motorcycle and deals damage as well. It also automatically upgrades her skill to the stronger version and grants her 30% movement speed. Gotta go fast. A stands for A-rank Adler, an A+ butler for Abon. He wields the incantation element and has a good mixture of skills. His basic attacks will grant him stacks of karma, which can be consumed when he uses his skill to deal additional incantation damage, and then inflict an incantation dot. It also grants active characters a shield. His ultimate does 5 instances of incantation damage, but if there's only one enemy, it hits twice for 10. Adler's passive will apply random debuffs on an enemy when they get scorched. This can be a 20% attack debuff, a 10% Esper resistance, or 10% break effect. Next up is Sakiri of Abon. Don't let this little one fool you. She is like if an S-rank Kirby was isekai'd into an anime lolly form. She uses the incantation element and summons an Esper called Kirumaru to fight. Her hold attack and skills can eat enemies. Typically, this only works on weaker enemies, but she can still deal damage to larger enemies. She has strong crowd control with her gravity magic on all of her abilities. Her passive debuffs the enemy with a dot vulnerability while scorched, and she can also buff the rest of her team with a 30% attack buff after using her ultimate. Her great utility may make her a popular staple on teams. Finally, we have our first and only main healer. Edgar is an A-rank kid that works at the Avon shop. He can hold his skill to continuously heal the teammate with the lowest HP. His ultimate drops a domain that deals a bit of cosmos damage and also heals the current character over 10 seconds. His passives let him instantly prepare his ult by charging up his energy and also extends his ult domain duration by casting his skills. Edgar may not be flashy, but as the sole main healer in the cast, he will definitely have some great utility for some players. And finally, we made it to our final character, Hotori. During the beta, she was the only non-playable character that was actively shown in the game with the rest of the playable cast. I expect she will be added in the second half of the patch after Nanally. Hotori is the Cosmos S-rank master of the Abon Antique shop, and she is one of the more unique kits in the game. She has a passive clock that rotates as she fights, up to 120 energy. She can expend this energy to use her skill. The skill deals AoE Cosmos damage and records any support and redirect skills used by allies for the next 5 seconds, with some limitations. Her clock rewinds during this process. Once her clock has reached the full 120 capacity, she can use her ultimate, which deals significant Cosmos damage and changes her attacks. Additionally, time slows to a standstill and disables character switching. All attacks that were recorded during her skill are replayed once. and the record is cleared. During her ultimate, her clock rewinds, and Hotori can complete a finisher attack if she completes a 10-stack combo. Her passive will allow Lebestam attacks to continue during her time stop, and buff her finisher damage on her ult as well. And that's it! Kudos if you've made it all the way here. Which character interests you most? There are more details to each character that I did not have a chance to touch on here today. If I did, this video would probably be over an hour long. Is there anyone you would like a more in-depth video on? NTE releases globally on April 29th, so see you there!